All right, everybody, welcome back. We love to take a deep dive on your questions, and today we're tackling one that hits close to home for all the entrepreneurs and business owners out there.
Definitely. We're talking about business auto insurance.
Yeah. We got a question from a listener who's self-employed, uses their personal car for work, things like client meetings,
Right.
and they're wondering, do they need a whole separate business auto insurance policy? Or can they just stick with their regular personal car insurance?
Yeah, that makes sense to wonder about. Absolutely.
Totally, totally. Especially because, insurance can be confusing, right? No one wants to pay for more than they need.
Exactly.
But on the flip side, you definitely don't want to be caught without the right coverage if something happens.
Nobody wants that. It's really all about peace of mind.
For sure. So we dug into this, and the article we found kind of lays out the basics. Apparently, your personal car insurance might actually cover some types of business use.
Right, that's true. But it definitely depends.
Yeah, there are a lot of it depends in the insurance world, huh?
Totally. And this is where things can get tricky, right? Because you might think you're covered, but if something happens and your insurance company says, oh, that wasn't actually covered for business use, you're kind of stuck.
Exactly. So how's someone supposed to know? What's the difference between, like, driving to a client meeting versus something that would need a totally separate policy?
Right. So like driving to a client meeting, maybe to a conference, that's often covered under what's called a business use endorsement on your personal policy.
Business use endorsement. Sounds kind of official.
It is. But it's basically like adding a little extra coverage to your existing insurance, like, sprinkles on your ice cream.
Ooh, I like sprinkles. But do we get a cherry on top too, or what?
Huh. Sadly, no cherry. But having that endorsement could save you a lot of trouble down the road. It's basically saying, hey, I use my car for work sometimes, so I need a little extra protection.
Okay, so sprinkles are good,
Mm.
but the article also mentioned some things that even the, what was it? Business use sprinkles don't cover.
Right. The business use endorsement is really meant for occasional, relatively low-risk driving. It's not going to cut it if you're using your car for things like deliveries, regularly transporting people or goods, or if you're doing any kind of towing.
Yeah, those do sound a bit riskier than just head into an office.
Yeah. Exactly. Like think about pizza delivery drivers. They're on the road constantly, often in a hurry, way higher chance of an accident than someone just driving to a meeting.
Makes sense. So that's when you'd really need a dedicated business auto policy.
Yep, and those policies are designed specifically for those higher risk situations. And another big difference is the coverage limits, especially for liability.
Oh, yeah, that was something else that stood out in the article. It talked about how business auto policies typically have higher coverage limits, but didn't really explain what that means.
So liability coverage is basically what protects you financially if you cause an accident. The limit refers to the maximum amount your insurance will pay out. So let's say you cause an accident, there's $50,000 worth of damage, but your insurance only has a $25,000 limit for liability. Yeah, you would be personally responsible for that other $25,000, and that can really put you in a tough spot financially.
Definitely. Especially as a business owner where, that money's coming directly out of your pocket.
Exactly. So having those higher limits with a business auto policy gives you more of a cushion, more peace of mind, knowing that you're covered if the worst happens.
Okay, this is all starting to click into place. But for our listeners specifically, right, the one with their consulting business, how should they be thinking about all this? How do they know which path to take?
Right. So for them, I'd say it really comes down to a few key questions. First off, how often are they actually driving for work? Is it like a couple times a week? Or is it more like every day, multiple times a day?
Right, that makes sense.
And then what exactly are they doing while they're driving for work? Are they just transporting themselves? Or are they, maybe transporting clients, equipment, anything like that?
I think that's a different level of risk, for sure.
Absolutely. And then finally, it's important to consider their personal risk tolerance. Some people are totally comfortable with a little more risk, while others, they prefer to err on the side of caution. And that's okay. It's really about finding that balance.
Right. And it seems like no matter what, talking to your insurance agent is never a bad idea. They can walk you through the specifics, look at your situation, help you figure out what type of coverage actually makes the most sense for you.
100%. They're the experts, right? So definitely use that resource.
It's like having a knowledgeable friend in the insurance world, someone who's got your back.
Exactly. Someone who speaks the language.
For sure. Hopefully all of this helps give our listener and anyone else with questions about business auto insurance a better understanding of things. It can feel overwhelming, but asking the right questions is a great first step.
It really is. And remember, everyone's situation is different, so what works for one business owner might not be the right fit for another.
Okay, so final thought for everyone listening. This whole conversation, it really makes you think. What other types of insurance might someone running their own business need to consider? Something to ponder.
Great point. There's a lot to think about when you're your own boss, and making sure you're properly protected is key.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, everyone, until next time, stay curious and stay informed.